Hello, my name is Voya and welcome to mydeepguide. Today I am addressing an issue that popped out and is kind of ongoing regarding Remarkable 2, and when you're drawing straight horizontal lines, they seem to appear jagged. And this is something that popped out on the Facebook user group or Remarkable user group, and more and more people started reporting, hey, I have it as well, hey, I have it as well, I have it as well, I have it as well. And also some people said like, oh, I don't have it. And that's a big trigger. It's not just one person, it's several people. Then I tested out on my own personal unit, which I have received, I think about 10 days or 2 weeks ago. And sure enough, it was there. And yeah, since this is my deep guide, I wanted to dig in deep and understand what is going on. At the same time as the Facebook topic was developing, I wasn't aware of that. I was doing another video, which was supposed to come instead of this one, which was basically like how to use illustration, multi-layers and exporting as SVG on Remarkable platform, which is a huge benefit, and how to use that to create your own illustrations. I finished that whole thing, and then I actually ran into the issue as well. I thought I did something wrong, read the Facebook group, and then noticed that. So we're going to dive deep into this. I have tested the issue thoroughly, and yeah, let's check that out. All right, here we are, and the issue is very present when you know what to look for, and especially with horizontally placed straight lines. So I'm just first going to demonstrate what the issue is and how it manifests, and then I'm going to explain yeah, what my conclusions are, and some examples also how this data translates, because I wanted to analyze the vector data to kind of get a better understanding of this. But first and foremost, if you start, let's just zoom in. If I start, I'm using a fine liner, which is a non-pressure sensitive pen. So I wanted to exclude the component of troubleshooting, is it pressure sensitivity, because it does react actually to pressure, but not to the marker itself. So basically what happens is, if you draw a horizontal line slowly, then you get some jaggedness, as you can see. But if I press very hard and start moving, especially if I start moving a little bit faster, you get these jagged lines. And you can see the jaggedness here. This could be attributed to, for example, yeah, maybe I'm shaking or something like that. But even if I use like a straight surface as a guide, so let's see here. All right, so I zoomed in and now I'm just gonna draw a straight line, fine liner, so no pressure sensitivity on the brush itself, with strong pressure here. And yes, so you can clearly see the jaggedness, which is the problem. Now, here's the interesting part. I'm gonna now flip the device horizontally, and I'm going to use the same exact surface, and I'm going to draw the same pen, same pressure, everything vertically. There's some jaggedness, right? But not nearly as much as the horizontal one. And this is more in line, the vertical one is more in line with what I actually get on Remarkable 1. But since we're now mentioning Remarkable 1, let's switch to it and see if it's present on the Remarkable 1. So here's my Remarkable 1, fine liner being used here as well. So I'm simply going to center around here and use that same surface to draw a straight line. Same, and I'm using the Remarkable 1 pen this time, so I'm just gonna press hard and draw. As you can see, some irregularities are there, but not a trace of jaggedness. So these are very kind of straight lines. Now let's flip it over and try the horizontal line. So now let's do the horizontal line. again, there's some irregularities that can be attributed to the edge of the surface that I'm using, but no trace of that awful jaggedness that we've talked about. So this is remarkable 1, and this is remarkable 2. So this type of jaggedness, that's the problem that we're talking about. Clearly not present on 1. And furthermore, then I was wondering, okay, so could it be the marker? Now I'm on remarkable 1. So could it be that maybe it's the remarkable 2 marker issue? So let's do that. So now we're on remarkable 1 using remarkable 2 marker, same conditions, no problems. So I'm gonna now, just to confirm the test, I'm gonna switch to remarkable 2, right? So now we're at remarkable 2. Let's find the empty spot here. All right, and I'm gonna be using the remarkable 1 marker. Same straight line, same irregular surface, so to speak. So let's just straighten this out and draw. So this is the result on the remarkable 2 with the remarkable 1 pen. All right, so then let's eliminate the possibility of the pen. I'm just gonna use Lamy now underneath it. Same type of behavior. And the third pen that I do have and I can test with is the Books pen with the remarkable tip, but the tip doesn't matter because it's the pen itself that would be the problem. However, clearly present no matter what I do. So we got remarkable 1, remarkable 2, Lamy, and the Books pen, all of them producing the same problem on this device, and I tested them also on this one, and yeah, consistently the jagged issue is not present on remarkable 1, but it is present on remarkable 2. So I eliminated the possibility that it's the marker itself and that it's pressure sensitivity of the marker. And I also intentionally used the fine liner so that I can eliminate the pressure sensitivity interpretation. What do I mean? That it's maybe a bug in the brush, how the brush is interpreting the pressure intensity, because that could also cause this. For example, if you put on more pressure, that the brush has some issues and then just kind of spews out vector data that bunches out over itself. However, then I proceeded to do a very thorough testing here, as you can see. And basically what I did was I went through all of the available brushes: ballpoint, fine liner, marker, pencil, mechanical pencil, paintbrush, and calligraphy. Didn't do highlighter. And what I did was I did 9 lines. So it was slow and weak or soft pressure, slow and medium pressure, slow and hard pressure, then normal, weak, medium, hard, and then fast drawing, weak, medium, hard. And then I did that on, yeah, as I said, on all of the brushes. And basically the results are fairly consistent. Some brushes are worse than others, but the pattern emerged after this, and it was that it's not dependent on the speed itself, it's dependent on how hard you press onto the surface itself. Because as you can see, for example, mechanical pencil, slow, normal, or fast speeds, on hard intensities you get the same amount of jaggedness. And basically that translates to any brush that I tested, including the calligraphy, which seems to be particularly sensitive to these things. But I wanted to focus, again, I wanted to focus on the fine liner mainly because it's not a pressure sensitive pen, and it can give me the most consistent results. So with this testing, I was able to at least kind of center around things. It's not pens, it's not the pressure sensitivity, it's not the brush interpretation, and it's not an OS issue like a 2.3 issue that it has been introduced, because it should be equal on the Remarkable One, because it's also running the OS 2.3. So far, yeah, it's not looking that great, and it's looking, to me personally, a little bit worrying. I didn't notice it on the review device, I don't have it anymore, but in the future days I'm going to spend a little bit of time on checking out my previous notes that I made on the original test device and prior to update 2.3 to actually kind of see and investigate, can I find examples where this jaggedness has appeared, because I did those writing tests and all that kind of stuff. There has to be at least a couple of things that I can see. So I'm going to be checking that out, but once I've figured this out, then I wanted to go into vector data itself and analyze what's going on, because what this looks like to me is that there's abundance bunching up of vectors here, and there's some imprecision and basically interpretation of vector data not being correctly interpreted. So if I'm correct, this should be super dense with vector points, and it should be very chaotic, and the Remarkable One should be more unified and orderly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to export this test page that I did on Remarkable 2 and on Remarkable 1 as an SVG, and then open that up in a program that can actually show the vector data. So let's do that. Alright, so I've set some stuff up. I've sent the Remarkable 2 and Remarkable 1 tests. It was 2 pages test. There was the lines that you saw and then some different types of drawings as SVGs. There was an elephant illustration that I was working, and that was supposed to be actually the video for today, but this issue is a little bit more pressing, so I'm covering that. And I've also converted all of the SVGs into the AI format, because I'm going to be checking that in 3ds Max as well. So for now, I'm first going to import into, yeah, this is just a free online app that can import SVGs, but more importantly, it can show the vector data. So if I open, I believe this is the second page. Let's try again. It does that sometimes. There we go. So this is opened, and this is the stuff that we drew on Remarkable 2, and you can see this is Remarkable 2 marker, Remarkable 1 marker, Lamy, and books. And the problem is that the messiness definitely translates into the whole thing. So we can, this one's a very good example. So if I just zoom in, now I honestly don't know, but there we go. So like this, and if I double click on this one, I should be, all right, so I managed to double click on the vector data, and this is the problem. So basically, I mean, this is there. So these are the jagged messes. So basically it's overlapping so much data here, and it can be that it has to do with the pressure. Now, this is how it should interpolate, and this is how it should be sensitive. It should optimize automatically in some way, and we should definitely not have these bunch ups here. And if I go back to select mode, this is exactly where the mess is occurring. So if I zoom out to normal stuff, you can see how, yeah, I'm selecting a different one. Okay, it doesn't matter, but you can definitely see this as an issue. So let's now clear this out. And how was that? Clear is like this, yes. I still don't know how do I navigate the view in this one. It's a little bit weird. Either way, let's load up Remarkable 1, and then I noticed something interesting as well in Remarkable 1. Yeah, open up. There. So the horizontal line on Remarkable 1 is not exhibiting these issues, as you can see. So let's zoom here and then like this. Yeah. So Remarkable 1 is very, very smooth, but the vertical one, not nearly as bad as on the Remarkable 2, but the same issue is there, but on the vertical lines. And if I manage to do the double clicking thing, which is very odd in this program, there we go. This is what I'm talking about. So optimization of the vectors is not done properly, or the input is totally messed up. But this is what I was looking for. This is what you're looking for to get in a straight line. Definitely not the jumbled mess that we saw on Remarkable 2. But if I double click on this dude, there we have the jumbled mess again. So let's just, now how do I, like this? Yes. So let's do that and then double click. There. So this is the jumbled mess. Again, nowhere near as bad as on Remarkable 2, but the issue was present and is present on Remarkable 1 as well. So it has to do with how the vector data has been treated. Now, it's okay if the raw vector data is messy, but that's why you have optimization filtering and all these kinds of things to basically create this guy. So this is how an optimized vector should look like, because this produces a nice and smooth line, and this can be imported into any different package. Now, I think I'm gonna import these and some else also in 3ds Max so that you can see, and that's where the conversion to AI comes into place. So let's bring Max in here. Okay, so here we go. All right, so here are the AIs, and let's double check the one, first the Remarkable 2. I'm gonna, yeah, I can merge, because then we can directly compare them, which is kind of cool as well. All right, so here we have Remarkable 2, tests 1 and 2, and Remarkable 1, tests 1 and 2. And if I zoom in, you can definitely see that these scribbles on Remarkable 2 have transferred quite a lot. And if I go to, let's just select them both. If I go to Remarkable 1, horizontal line does not have these issues. However, the vertical one does expose them. Now, if I go into spline mode here and actually show vertices, you can clearly see the issues that we have here. So all of these are vertices points, and that's just simply far too much, and they are really, really jaggedy and kind of disorganized. If I go into Remarkable 1, you can clearly see even from this far that, yep, they're all a lot better. The vertical ones, as I mentioned, they still suffer, and here's a really good example. This was a vertical line. This is Remarkable 1. So this is light, normal, hard pressure, light, normal, hard pressure. And you can see that harder the pressure is, more points are being drawn. And we should see a similar thing happening here as well. It's just on a much larger scale, but a little bit more messier. But yeah, so well, normal and hard are kind of the same. Even the normal one has more on Remarkable 2, so that's a little bit strange. And then I did testing here, which was the sawtooth type of drawing, which is diagonal, vertical, and then deviations from those with slight bending, and then totally kind of weirded out sinusoid, which is been written normal, hard pressure, very light, barely touching pressure. That's why there's no connection here. And the same thing on Remarkable 1. And if we convert this, we can see that we can see quite a lot of stuff going on. Not really that bad. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not that bad. It's doing stuff, but it's losing its grip on occasion, especially here. And it's not very consistent. And for me, yeah, I certainly did not write these little things. And when we go to harder intensity, you can get even errors like this. So obviously some filtering is not going on, and this is pure vector data basically. So no wonder that it does not translate well. Let's double check Remarkable 1. And yes, the vertical ones are present, horizontal ones are less present. So the issue is there, but way less pronounced than on the Remarkable 2. However, you still have an occasional one, especially when going vertically. So obviously, yeah, there we go. So obviously the main difference is that the issue was present in a lesser degree on Remarkable 1, and it exhibited, there we go, exhibited itself in vertical lines, not in horizontal ones. On Remarkable 2, we have the other way around. It exhibits itself worst on horizontal lines and much less so on the vertical ones. And you can see how it's increasing and then dropping. And then as we're going down, you can see normal optimization, totally bonkers. So that's okay so far, and these are the final tests that I did on both of them. So this is Remarkable 2. We have a horizontal line. All were drawn with strong pressure, and this is all fine liner, so no pressure sensitivity. So very jaggedy, extremely jaggedy. This is freehand. Yeah, I mean, look at this. This is just a complete error. I mean, this doesn't work. This is very, very, very bad as far as no filtering goes. Vertically, yeah, we still have some issues, quite a lot of them actually. And yeah, and this is the diagonal. Freehand. This is vertical, freehand. And this is horizontal, freehand. So let's check Remarkable 1. And even from here I can see, yeah, the straight line has been optimized. Diagonal does not have even an inkling of those issues that we just saw on Remarkable 2. Vertically, yes, it does. So the same issue is present, but again, nowhere near as bad as on Remarkable 2. And then you can see the triangle, that the diagonal, which, well, the whole triangle is basically like useless on Remarkable 2. We still have very problematic issues on Remarkable 1 as well, but much, much less pronounced. It's way, way better. So something is definitely off, and something is definitely problematic here, how Remarkable 2 is either interpreting data or not filtering or something. Something is messing it up to cause this, which is totally, yeah, crazy. So some of you may think, well, okay, well, what does it matter? I'm really drawing straight lines, or I don't draw straight lines when I write, it doesn't really bother me, which is fine. Of course, it's not that noticeable. That's why I didn't even notice it when I was simply writing. I noticed jaggedness, like less precise that it was, and I think I mentioned that as well in one of the videos. And then I thought that it's like lack of filtering. That's what I thought, that it was anti-aliasing. But now when I pay closer attention to this and do analysis, no, this is not anti-aliasing. This is pure vector data has an issue here. So I wish I knew to dig deeper then, but hey, we're doing it now because we're becoming aware, all of us, of this issue, and it's in all of our interests to actually dig deep, inform Remarkable of this so that they can get on it and fix this hopefully soon. Now, how does this affect me in reality? Quite a lot, to be honest, because the upcoming video that was supposed to come out today instead of this was me actually doing an illustration of a little elephant, multi-layered things on Remarkable 2, and the video is done and it's going to come out later. But then I noticed that issue quite a lot, and you can see it here. So once I used to use Remarkable 1 quite a lot for these things, just doodle out a drawing, put it in Photoshop, and yeah, continue on. And once I did this, this was the first time I did this on Remarkable 2, and then I noticed this, which is really, really strange. And yeah, now it actually makes quite a lot of sense. So it translates into any format, and that's the problem. It's not localized on Remarkable. This is pure vector data. So no matter where you import the SVG, which is a huge advantage for Remarkable platform for me, yeah, you're gonna end up with the defects, which is a problem. I mean, this is not something that I can be happy with, because then it introduces yeah, alpha issues and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. All right, so first things first, it's definitely not a good thing. It sucks. Now, is this a deal breaker for me or something like that? Not yet, simply because I don't have enough information, and none of us have enough information to conclude, is this a software or hardware related issue? What can we conclude from the tests that have been done so far by the community and me here in this video? Well, there's a couple of things that are actually good and that we can kind of take off. First point is that it reacts to the pressure of writing. So more pressure you exert on the screen or on the device, it seems that we get more vector points and more data, and that those vector points are not filtered or analyzed properly, and you end up with a jumble mess in one tiny spot, which ends up with a jaggedy line, because vector has to go from dot to dot, and if you throw a lot of them at a point, you're going to get that jaggedy stuff. That's what I was expecting to see, and it's a good thing that we actually see this. Now, one thing that's very important in this first point is that yes, it reacts to the pressure exerted on the screen, but no, it does not depend on pressure sensitivity of the brush itself. So it's not something that's as simple as the brush itself and pressure sensitivity of the brush. It's something a little bit different. And we know that because I've been using the fine liner, which is not a pressure sensitive brush. What does that mean for those less technically inclined? That means that every of those points in a pressure sensitive brush, it will also contain information how much pressure is exerted on that point. And let's say you have point A and point B, pressure, I don't know, 12, pressure 127, and then the brush will say like, okay, on pressure, lower pressure, thinner brush, harder pressure, thicker lines and interpretations. Something to that effect. Of course, there's variations and it works like that, but basically it comes down to the points and them storing the pressure information. Now, the fine liner is not a pressure sensitive brush, which means that it should be. I don't know if it does, because obviously we have some strange software behavior here, but in theory, on a pressure insensitive brush, each one of the vector dots should contain a default static pressure information. So if that's the case with the fine liner on Remarkable 2 and 1, then we can somewhat safely conclude that it very most likely is not a brush issue, and it's not connected to the pressure sensitivity interpretation of a brush. Now, the second thing that we can also deduce is that it is not a marker issue. So it's nothing to do with the marker plus or the marker, simply because I've used the normal marker, I've used the Lamy pen, I've used the Remarkable one and the Books pen, and all of them behaved pretty much exactly the same. So most definitely not a marker or a tip issue. Now, it also seems that it's not a OS 2.3 issue, simply because I have both Remarkable 1 and 2 are running the same 2.3 OS system, same quotation marks, but it should be the same, right? Because yeah, the brushes behave the same and all that kind of stuff. So it's not something that seems to have been introduced as an OS type of bug. And furthermore, the testing showed that the issue is present on Remarkable 1 as well, but far less. But the third thing that we kinda can also conclude is that it's not an OS3 issue. It's something that has to do with both Remarkable 2 and Remarkable 1, but it manifests a little bit differently and much, much worse on Remarkable 2. So what's the overall conclusion? Once I saw the jaggedness, for me, because I know how stuff works, it was immediately an alarm bell that this is bad vector data, unoptimized, unfiltered vector data. That's the only thing that it can be. And the testing that I've shown definitely confirms that. So the good part, there's good news and there's bad news. Good news is that there's a lot of clever filtering that can always be employed as a post-processing thing, and that's the smoothing that you actually see on other devices. When you draw something, you get anti-aliasing and a little bit of jaggedness, and then the device actually smooths out the vector data and adds the Bezier curves and makes it all very, very pretty. Remarkable doesn't do that. It seems that Remarkable has zero filtering going on at all, and that is a problem when the input that it receives becomes a jumbled mess, as it does on horizontal lines with high pressure intensity on Remarkable 2 at the moment. Now we have a very similar behavior on Remarkable 1 with vertical strokes, but again far less than it is exhibited on Remarkable 2. So the good news is that there are ways that you can remedy this quite easily software-wise, if they care to listen and to actually do something about their products from the software side, other than adding fancy pens. Now the bad side is that this can be an indication of how the sensitivity is being interpreted by the new screen. So maybe the screen calibration or the sensitivity calibration or something like that is causing the device to get oversaturated with vector points or with the data, and because it doesn't have any filtering going on as a post-process, you get a raw, unprocessed, jumbled mess. So what does this mean? Well, from a developer standpoint, I think that even as it is now, even if this was a total hardware fault and there's nothing they can do hardware-wise, there is a software solution, which is the post-processing filtering of the vector data, which is something that's standardized and it should have been here a long time ago, but never mind. There is an option to actually do that. Are they going to do it, and when is it going to happen? That is up to Remarkable, and you should ask them. My own personal standpoint regarding that is that anything software related with the Remarkable as a company is bad news, because they have a very bad track record as far as software updates and how quick they are at basically detecting issues and addressing issues. They have a really bad track record for the past 3 years regarding that. It takes a long time for them to do that. Hopefully they are growing as a team. Hopefully they'll maybe move some of the developmental resources that are probably currently assigned to some other future ventures or plans, and maybe, just maybe, start addressing existing issues, polish the existing platform, and then focus on the future things. Now, the second part as far as this whole thing goes is how transparent are they going to be? So far, they're one of the most opaque companies there is. So I honestly don't think that we're going to get anything out of them other than thank you for letting us know, we're aware of the issue and we're working hard to correct it. And I think that's all that we're gonna get. I think this is a really good opportunity, and it would be wise for Remarkable not to be completely opaque about this one as they usually are, but to actually give out some specifics and some timetables, because it will ease people's minds. If you give totally vague responses like thanks for letting us know, we're on it, we're doing our best, it's not good enough at this point. You need to add specifics like we're trying to do it by then and then, we think that it's this and this, and it's probably gonna be blah 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 blah. I don't know, but something, just anything more than we're aware of it and we're working on it as best as we can. It's simply not good enough at this point after all of the stuff that has been going on, and the tempers are a little bit fiery as far as the Remarkable 2 goes, so it would be a good idea to reach out a little bit towards the customer base. So obviously the default reaction to any negative news, even it's like, oh, my Remarkable 2 fell out of my lap, and you're gonna have people going, oh, I'm canceling my Remarkable. It's like, well, fine, whatever. I don't care about that. However, for those people who know why they ordered the device and they really want to use it, it's like for sensible people. First of all, ignore the yelling. It's there's gonna be yelling in the comments and on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. Just ignore that. It's completely irrelevant. The relevant stuff is that you judge your own use case scenario. So if you don't already own the device, check out the stuff that I've shown, check out the stuff that's shown there, and see how does this impact you. If you're just writing and you're okay that maybe this will take some time to actually fix, then by all means keep the device, because you know why you ordered it and why you're waiting for it, right? So there's a really good reason why you've been waiting for a very long time to get this device, because it's really, really good. Does it have problems? Yes. Is this a problem? Absolutely, it's a problem. Is this a deal breaker? For me, no, because I know that there is a software way of fixing this. The only issue is when. And that is a problem with the Remarkable, because they're not clear about things and they're very slow about these things. For the existing users that maybe have just received their Remarkable 2s, myself included, should you return it within that 30-day period? Well, don't be hasty, and if you still have some more time, again, I would say the same thing. Test it out and see how does it impact your real-world use. Like, who cares if the horizontal lines are jaggedy if that doesn't impact your way of using this device? Me personally, unfortunately, this impacts. So how does it impact? Because one of the main use case scenarios that I use the Remarkable as is exporting as an SVG, and currently no one else has exporting as an SVG, and I use that for illustrations and a lot of these things, put it into Photoshop layers and all this kind of stuff. Now this is a problem for me, and if that's something that you're relying on, it will be a problem for you. Now this is a problem for me to such a degree that until this is resolved, I'm seriously contemplating reverting back to my Remarkable 1 for these purposes, because as I've shown, I can't use this data as it is now. It's very unusable. And the first illustration that I tried to do on the Remarkable 2, the elephant thing, as I've shown, it's unusably jagged. So there definitely is a part of use case scenarios where this can potentially be a deal breaker if it's left untreated. I seriously doubt that any company in their right mind is going to ignore this, and I seriously doubt that any company in their right mind is not going to prioritize this and fix it. So what am I going to do for myself? I am going to wait. I'm not going to return my Remarkable 2 because I love it, because I think that it's an amazing device that just needs some proper development. Like, for Christ's sake, what is going on there? Anyway, I'm giving it a shot, and this is such an obvious thing that can be fixed that I refuse to believe that they won't fix it and that they won't do it soon. Yeah, as it is now, it all depends on how they respond, how they address the situation, and how quickly they actually resolve it and fix it. So basically, it's like how seriously they are taking their customers and these use case scenarios. I understand personally that this issue does not affect pretty much the majority of people who are buying Remarkable 2. This doesn't affect them that much, because for writing and note-taking, this is not going to be a deal breaker. You're not going to be exporting notes in SVG, and it's not going to be such a horrible thing. Yes, your letters are going to look a little bit jagged and stuff, but everybody can live with that for a couple of months until the fix is actually done, or hopefully a couple of weeks. However, for me and for those people who are using the Remarkable 2 and hoped to use it professionally for some of these things and the export to SVG capability, that's a niche. I totally agree, that's a complete niche, but it's like a targeted type of issue that affects that niche completely, and it kind of blocks me from using Remarkable 2 in these situations. So I'm going to be reverting to Remarkable 1 when drawing and exporting to SVG and doing these things. Writing and everything else, I'm going to continue using Remarkable 2 simply because it's extremely convenient and I've grown to love the device a lot. So what should you do? First thing, don't panic. I don't think that you should cancel. You should check your use case scenario and make a rational thought. Don't do it immediately. Sleep on it, give it 72 hours, and then reach a balanced, informed decision, not an impulsive one. That would be my advice to what should you do. That. Now you've seen how I tested these things. So first of all, test out your device and see, perform the same test and see if you get the jagged lines or not. In case you do, report it to Remarkable. Don't be angry about it. Don't be like judgmental, and don't use too many exclamation marks and things like that. Be normal, because hopefully they're going to be alerted by this enough. So any type of rudeness, demands, and anger, it doesn't really contribute to resolvement of the issue. In these types of cases, the only things that matter is how many people are reporting the same issue to elevate it from a single occurrence to a bug to a major problem. And the second thing is basically getting enough of relevant data, that the team gets enough relevant data so that they have a starting point how to track this problem and hopefully zero in on the issue and create a fix for it. Exclamation marks, anger, and all that kind of stuff doesn't help you, and it doesn't help them, and it doesn't help us as other users. So try to be civil about this. So that's basically the most constructive thing that you can do. I'm personally going to report the issue and send the link to the video and the SVGs that I exported and the AIs and everything else. I'm going to send that to them so that they can start tracking the issue and hopefully working on a fix. That's something that as I said, you can do as well, and the more people report this who actually have the issue, bigger chance we have that it's going to be addressed. I'm also going to wait patiently for, let's say, about 2 months and see where that gets them, if there's any movement, acknowledgement, or are they addressing this, or are they going to completely ignore it. 2 months is a long time, so let's see what happens then. Until then, I'm waiting and I'm hoping that they are going to take this seriously and that they're going to address it, and that maybe, just maybe, as a result of this problem, we might actually get the filtering and beautiful smoothness on the Remarkable platform as well, which would be wonderful. One can hope. And also, lastly, apropos that illustration elephant thing, it will come. I will release it next week. I just wanted to address this as a more pressing issue, and also then people will understand like why the jagged lines are there. At that point, I didn't know. So yeah, we'll travel back in time a little bit, but I think it's going to be fine. I hope that you find the information regarding this issue that I provided here something that clears up the issue for you, and so that you can have a more clear-minded approach to it. This is definitely not a good thing, so it has to be addressed. But does it justify panic and some kind of rash decisions? In my personal opinion, absolutely not, because this is something that's solvable, and it's definitely not a deal breaker for me. The deal breaker for me will be how the company is addressing these things. But yeah, that's it as far as the issue goes. Currently, no, stuff happens. It's early version. There needs to be stuff that's going to be ironed out, and yeah, not even all of the units have been shipped out, so of course the issues are going to be arising. It's how they choose to address these issues which will be a deal breaker for me or not. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, ding the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye!